making some pretty strong statements about Adam Schiff and others that went after him, in his view, very much needlessly. And this is what has got the left so concerned, this idea somehow that he's going to be out there getting revenge. And he doesn't actually shoot it down. Watch.
You talk about the enemy within. There's enemies, America's enemies outside. The enemy within is a pretty ominous phrase if you're talking about other Americans.
I think it's accurate. I think it's accurate.
Who are you talking about?
And,
the enemy?
I heard that. They say, oh, the enemy. On the outside, you have Russia, you have China, you have a lot of different groups. If you have a smart president, they can be easily handled. I handled them. We had no wars. We had no wars. The only thing I had was ISIS, and I defeated them in like record time. They were gone. But I started no wars. The outside people, the so-called enemies, if they're enemies, and they might not be enemies, if you have a smart president, they can be handled. But when you have people investigating my campaign, when you have people, they spied on my campaign, Howard. You understand that. That's been proven. But they spy on your campaign. The Russia hoax was all made up, and now it's acknowledged that it was made up. All of these different things. You have the 51 different agents saying it was from Russia, and now they all say it wasn't from Russia. Okay, so we were lying. Many other things, many. I could go over. You just don't have enough time. But what they've done is so terrible. Who's ever heard of anything like this? Adam Shifty Schiff, he's a crooked guy. He's a crooked politician, 100%. And he's going to be a senator now. Can you believe it?
But again, he's a political opponent of yours,
he's
but
not,
is he an enemy?
No, of course he's an enemy. He's an enemy. He wanted to put my son in jail, and my son didn't even know what he was talking about. He wanted to put my son in jail on a scam that he made up called Russia. He, Hillary Clinton, and a group of people made up a scam, and they came out of a room, and they said, Donald Trump Jr. will be going to jail over this. And my son called me, he said, what did I do? He knew nothing about Russia. It had nothing to do with him. Think of how bad you have to be when you say you're going to put any son, not just, a president's son, but any son, you're going to put somebody in jail on a scam that you knew was made up by you. That's an enemy from within. That is a threat to democracy. These are bad people. We have a lot of bad people. But when you look at Shifty Schiff and some of the others, they are, to me, the enemy from within. I think Nancy Pelosi is an enemy from within. She lied. She was supposed to protect the Capitol. She said that to her daughter just recently. It was found on the tape from her daughter, who's a documentary maker. She said, this is my responsibility. She admitted it. But I offered her 10,000 National Guard troop, anything she wanted. No, but she didn't take them. She should have taken them. And you wouldn't have had January 6th as we know it. By the way, if she took 500 people, you wouldn't have had it, let alone 10,000.
Sure. So you actually give me a segue into my next question. I do have to say for the record that the spying accusation is in dispute. I know you don't believe that.
What accusation?
The spying accusation. But
I don't think it's in dispute. Obama and Biden spied on my campaign. It was a long time ago. We're talking about the previous campaign. Maybe they're doing this campaign too. But so far, it doesn't seem to be working.
Okay, so I think Howie was referring to, he thought he meant this time around, because we did learn that the FBI reported that Iran actually had been spying on the campaign and allegedly was turning it over to Kamala or to Biden. And that's where it gets a little bit murky, because one would hope as soon as it got turned over, right, that they then informed the FBI, and that's how we know about it in the first place. I'm not entirely sure about the details of that, but what he's referring to is back in the day. Remember, this is back in 2016, and you think about how furious he was when he found out that, yes, they had wiretapped phones and Trump Tower and this, that, and the other, all under this assumption that somehow he was colluding with the Russians. So that's part of the whole Russia thing. That was a long passage to listen to, but it's an important one in that the left is going to sort of corrupt this, and they're going to say he's going to go after people and he's going to try and put everybody in jail, to which I think he would probably say, what the heck did you people do to me, right? For the last however many years. He's been going through this ever since he left office, and he's not wrong when he says, he offered Nancy Pelosi some help. Why didn't she take it? They really tried to turn everything around on him. And, you can look back in history and say, and I do believe he should have ridden off on his white horse, into the night and waved at everybody and said, I'll be back. As opposed to the sort of chaos that ensued and, not being there for the transfer of power, et cetera. I mean, there was a transfer of power, however, though. So, for them to say that somehow this is going to turn into some kind of dictator-like scenario, they really don't have the proof in order to say that. And when they go back to J6, it's like, well, okay, but hang on. He did offer this help. Why didn't they take it? Why was there a documentary filmmaker that was invited in that just happened to be Nancy's daughter that then they played in a loop over and over and over again for the American public to see? It's been quite an ordeal. And they tried to keep him away. And they tried to do everything they could. And yet here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and he's winning in the polls.